We would like to introduce you to Tiffany Wilson, one of 2 Teachers of the Year for 2009 for the Sacramento City Unified School District. Tiffany, thanks for joining us.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Well, first tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you teach and what you teach.
Okay, I am a teacher at Pacific Elementary School in South Sacramento, and I taught first grade for a number of years. Recently, I've moved into teaching intensive intervention. I work with various grade levels, mostly 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. I also work with 2nd and some 3rd grade throughout the day, working mostly with students who are 2 or more years behind in language arts and providing them some support so that they can meet their grade level standards.
Well, tell us about intensive intervention. What is that all about?
Intensive intervention is for our intermediate students a block of the day where they're receiving a different core curriculum. They're receiving Language by Jane Green, which is designed to accelerate them through their missing gaps in their language arts achievement at a more rapid pace than, say, providing scaffolding with a regular curriculum does. So they stay with me mainly for the whole year. A couple of students will exit out here and there, but mostly we're talking about students who are 2 or more years behind, so it takes a little while to catch up. I'm fortunate enough to have the same group of students this year as 5th and 6th graders. They made some great gains last year. Most of them have moved from far below basic to a basic level now on their CSTs and benchmark testing. So this year I'll be working to give them that last little bump they need to get to proficient and exiting them out into their homerooms.
Oh, great. So you see some real success stories then when you can bring a student up to grade level.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I think both academically I see a lot, and also emotionally and socially with these children. Many of them are students who have been at our school their whole school career, or have been in our district at least their whole school career, and they've experienced failure so many times over the years that many of them have become disheartened, and ones I knew as first graders have now found other ways to entertain themselves at school. And so by the end of the year, my students had such a drive and enthusiasm for education that at the start of the year they just seemed to have lost. So that was really great to see, even above the academic gains.
Well, how long have you been teaching now?
I've been teaching 8 years.
So in that 8 years of time, what kind of changes have you seen in education, whether it's with the students or with yourself?
One of the big changes we've had at our school was about 3 years ago, we had 99 students come in straight from Thailand, from the Hmong refugee camps. And so that was a really big change for our school population, students who hadn't experienced an educational setting before, and even a lot of the just ways of life in the United States. And so really working with those students to teach them about how life worked as well as some of the academics. So that's been a huge change for our school population specifically. I think that instructionally with teachers at our school, we've gotten much more focused on standards-based education, a lot more focused on how do we break these standards down and help students with them. Things that would have overwhelmed me my first year in teaching is you're just trying to grasp the basics. And I feel like now I know how to take a standard and break it down, and my whole staff knows how to do that. So it's really encouraging to see some of the changes that have happened.
With intensive intervention, what are some of the special things that you have to do to really motivate students, because it's quite a challenge?
It is. I have to really first get them to believe in themselves. Again, one student I had specifically this year was my first grader, and he worked so hard, and he was so excited about first grade, and he came before school and he came after school for tutoring, and he just really struggled in reading despite all the effort that was put in. And he struggled in 2nd grade, and he struggled in 3rd grade. And by 3rd grade, people were talking about him as a behavior problem, and he was spending days in the office. And that's hard to see with a student who you've had and you've known in another frame. So he was my student this year as an intensive intervention student. And it was just really neat to, work on that, getting him to believe in himself again and that he could accomplish. And they can. They just really need somebody to kind of turn around their attitude first. It also, because I'm working with various grade levels, I'll have 4th, 5th, and 6th graders at the same time, and I'm trying to meet all of their focus standards. So I have to use things like learning contracts and individualized workshops that are meeting the needs of a fourth grader who needs certain focus standards and is reading at a second grade level, and a sixth grader who needs their sixth grade standards and maybe is reading at a fourth grade level. So it does present some challenges, but it's definitely rewarding.
So you're dealing with a large group of students, but at the same time, you really have to look at each one individually to find out what motivates them.
Definitely. Some people think, you know, when you're working with intensive, well, they all just need the same basic skills, and they really don't. Some students have gaps in decodings. For some students, it's just fluency and practice in reading, and some other students struggle with the comprehension, whereas maybe a student has great comprehension and doesn't have the decoding skills to read the text. So you really have to know where the gaps lie in their reading in order to be able to help them meet what they need.
So in doing that, when you work with the students, you really get to build a relationship with each one.
Definitely.
How crucial is that relationship?
Oh, it's so crucial. I have, in the past few years, been a big proponent of home visits. I go on home visits to schools. I've gone on several this year already. We go in August, meet the families, start to build a relationship, ask them about their dreams and their hopes for their student, you know, for their kids in life, and what they hope to see their children accomplish both this school year and beyond. Holding community meetings so that the students and the parents understand where we're coming from as our philosophy as a school. And so it's not only building that relationship with the students, which is definitely vital, but also with the families so that you have more support behind you. Parents are such an important factor in a child's education.
Well, tell us a little bit more about the foundation of that relationship with the family, and once you build a solid one, how that really kind of helps in the education process.
One of the big ways, especially when I was teaching first grade, that it helped is just that communication piece. You know, I tell parents if they promise to only believe half of what their children tell them at home, I'll only believe half of what their children tell me about things that happen at home, because so often a child will come home and tell a story and it's just not quite the way that it happened, or they'll come to school and tell a story and it's just not quite that same way. And so having that relationship with the parents and knowing that they support me, if I have a question, I can call, or if they have a question, they know they can call. I have parents just come in and sit and watch the instruction. A lot of them learn from it, having so many EL parents. They really enjoy just coming in and being able to soak up some new vocabulary, and they have the pictures there that they can look at. So a lot of them learn from that. I think also it just really gives you a sense of educating the whole child. You know that you have the support of a parent behind you. If you've got community outreach that's coming in, you've got some mentors and some role models for the child, and then you've also got the teacher working in there. So it really gives a whole education.
What motivated you to be a teacher? What brought you to the profession?
I actually never wanted to be a teacher when I was younger.
That's funny.
I had dreams of becoming a scientist. I was going to become a scientist, and my senior year in high school, my parents were in a car accident. And my teachers that year just were amazing. They really, I'm sorry, they really just saved me that year. And I had one event in particular where my high school English teacher threw a surprise party for me on my birthday. And at that moment I thought to myself, if she can change my life so much by this one little thing, imagine if I could do that every day in my career. So just being able to make a difference in the lives of children.
So what would you say to the person out there who's considering being a teacher that, might want to do that as a profession? What would you say to convince them that this is a good career to follow?
I would tell them that it's one of the only careers that you have fun with what you're doing and you know you're making a difference. And what could be greater as a profession than that? It's one of the only jobs that I've ever had, at least, where you get to start over each year. You get to bring fresh ideas. You get to have a fresh group of kids. It's incredibly unpredictable, and I love that there's so much excitement and wonder and exploration in every kid that you teach, that you're constantly, everything's changing. So, it's exciting and it's new all the time, and you're really making a difference to the future.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us and sharing your story. We've been speaking with Tiffany Wilson, who is one of 2 Teachers of the Year from the Sacramento City Unified School District. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.